Jay here of Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio, so you know what to do. It means it's live, which means you lot, yes, you, have got to get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about the latest Manchester United stories. We're going to be getting into quite a few. We're going to be talking about Jadon Sancho. Erik ten Hag's been speaking about Sancho, who's going through his own sort of little personal training regime there to get him fit. That's why he's not away with the group in Spain. So we'll be getting into some of those Erik ten Hag quotes. We'll also be looking at some transfer links, including a midfielder from Spurs who we've been linked with, which is a bit of a left field one, and also Karim Benzema. We've been linked with the Ballon d'Or winning Karim Benzema. Now, at first glance, you think, ain't happening, and I'm still a bit sceptical. But then there's part of you that thinks, kind of like sort of thing we've done before, innit? With aging strikers who are, you know, in the twilight of the career, shall we say. So we'll get into all that, but make sure you're getting involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think about any or all of these stories. I'll go into some of the comments. PJ Howard, first in the chat, says, morning, lads. Plate Up says, we are a retirement plan for everyone who rejected us in their prime. I so wanted Benzema when he was at Lyon. He was such a phenomenal striker, but we'll get into that later. Play Up also says, Schweinsteiger, Zlatan, Cavani, Benzema, even Ronaldo renewed contracts with Real Madrid when there were talks of him returning. Santa Not says, we really started a trend of signing Zlatan at 35, didn't we? Did, yeah. It's a trend that never ends. Nick Chalk also says, he wouldn't come to United. He's Ronaldo's mate. He will know what a joke of a club we are at the moment. We'll get into the Benzema one a little bit more. Glenn F in the chat says, morning, Jay, my main man. Good to see you, Glenn. Sean Ryland says, good morning, Jay, my good old buddy, my good old pal. Thanks for commenting. Solo in the chat as well from the United Agenda. Big up, Jay. Big up, Solo. I'll be on the United Agenda tomorrow evening to check that out. Ed says, Henrik Larsson ruined us. He started the, if only we got them in their prime, striker signings. Right, first of all, let's get into the Jadon Sancho one, because Jadon Sancho, we know that he's not away with United. He's been having this sort of personal training regime or whatever you want to call it. So I'll get into some of the quotes Erik ten Hag's been speaking to press about. He was speaking to press, I think it was yesterday. He said, Sancho's not fit enough to be here. He wasn't in the right status, in the right fitness state. So now he's on an individual program, and we want him to finish that program, and hopefully we see him back soon. In the start of the season, he had goals and assists, but his key moments and key actions became less and less. It's a combination of physical, but also mental. We're trying to research and get him back. He then also goes on to say, there's huge competition with England. Even at the World Cup, every game, it's difficult to know who to start because there's so much talent in the offensive line. When you don't show it week by week, you can fall out of the squad, which is what happened with basically talking about with Jadon Sancho. Now, there's a lot of interesting sort of facets to this. There's the first point is that he's obviously doing this training regime with the club's blessing. This isn't as though he's gone AWOL and just said, I need to sort my head out. I need to do training on my own. He's doing this, and the club are okay with it. I think we've heard that there's coaches involved that Erik ten Hag's approved as well. So there's that side of it. There's this side of it as well, where Erik ten Hag mentioned the mental factor. And I think that sometimes can be forgotten and be ignored. It's not necessarily just a physical issue with Jadon Sancho. It might be something mental. When we say mental, he just might be struggling with a bit of confidence. If you look at his performances this season, go back to the Chelsea game in particular, you look at that last sort of, I think it was the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half when he got subbed at the end of that. He couldn't do right. He couldn't do anything right. He just, everything he did was just, he was having one. And you think there might be issues there with confidence. Not all the time, because we saw him score a good goal against Liverpool. He scored against Sheriff, I think he scored the winner against Leicester. So he's got goals, as Erik ten Hag's mentioned, but there seems to be something going on there. And it's easy for us just to say, oh, he's just knackered. But then it could be something psychological. When I say psychological, I don't mean, sort of deep issues. I mean, it just might be a little bit of confidence, and that, is a psychological issue. Let's not forget, this is a kid who was linked with United for about 18 months, maybe just shy of 2 years. Gets his big money move. There's pressure there. 72 million quid, I think it was, or 73 million quid. So there's a lot of pressure there anyway when you're getting that move. Then Ronaldo comes as well, which sort of, the weird thing about that is, yes, there's pressure, but you've also been overshadowed by this other signing. So there's that. Then there's the whole changing the manager. In his first year at United, he had 3 different managers. Okay, Michael Carrick was only a caretaker for a couple of weeks or a few weeks, or whatever. But he had 3 different managers into his 4th manager already at Manchester United, which is remarkable, really, for a player who's only been here for a couple of seasons, less than a couple of seasons. So I've played for 4 different managers at Manchester United. So you've got all that to deal with. Then there is the part as well about the Euros. We all just ignored that. But missing that penalty in the Euros, getting all that stick, it's got to affect you. I think it affected Marcus Rashford. I think, you look at the sort of the season he had. He didn't have a great season last season. You have to think, well, maybe that played in your mind a little bit. We ignore these sides of the game as well. And we just think, it's fine, just shrug it off. And sometimes it can stay with players. Glenn F. says, it's a joke. He's been a member of the Academy for 21 months. Thanks for your support, Glenn. We are constantly getting ageing forwards, but in my honest opinion, it's better than spending 100 million on a younger striker who is not good enough for United. Johnny Orbital says, think you're cool because you're me in McClare, you got nothing on my morning. I shook hands with the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Motti. Thanks, Johnny. I think that's the lad I was chatting to at the bus stop. Yeah, good to meet you. Oh, sorry. Glenn F says, read my comment later in the right segment, Jay, please. Sorry about that. Yeah, I will do. I'll read it again when we get to the Benzema story. And good to meet Johnny this morning. Yeah, what do you reckon with Jadon Sancho? I think there's this thing as well. Football fans get a bad rap sometimes, and United fans get an even worse rap, and everyone treats United fans like we're all spoilt brats. Now, let's have it right. There is an element of that in some cases, because we have been spoilt, especially those of a certain age. I've seen United win the lot several times. But I do think we tend to support players and get behind them and rally the troops and sort of, we can be a fan base who goes, hang on a minute, do you know what? Not all the time, but we can do that. Let's sort of get behind this lad. And I'm hoping that's what we'll see with Jadon Sancho. I'm hoping people can see that this is a very talented young lad. This is a player who not just a talented young lad, but he seems like he's a decent kid as well, because let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago, you remember the lad gave him them shin pads, them personalised shin pads, and he scored against Sheriff, I think it was, and he celebrated by taking them out of his socks and showing them. So, he's not just that, but he comes across as someone who's a decent lad. He's going through a time of it. I just think he needs a bit of support, and I think that the fact that he's getting this personal training, he's getting his fitness, and maybe something as well, like Erik ten Hag alluded to, mentally getting that up to speed, can only be a good thing. So let us know what you think. I mean, most of the comments seem to be about Karim Benzema, and I will get to that. Ed says, when you're young, it's so easy to spiral out psychologically. Owen also says, I think he had such a great start to the season, and Gareth still didn't bring him back into the England fold for the Nations League. It completely knocked all the confidence from him again. So he thinks he might be suffering from a bit of lack of confidence by not even making it into that England team. Maybe there is. It's just difficult, isn't it? Because, especially when you're watching the World Cup and you see your teammates and the likes of Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and Marcus Rashford not just playing for England, but shining for England, especially, you look at they've all had, I think, a good competition. Marcus also picking up player of the match against Wales. So you look at that, and I'm sure he's pleased for his mate, but to be a part of him thinking, that could have been me involved in all that. Everyone wants to play in a World Cup, and they don't come around very often, do they? It's every 4 years, obviously. So he's missed out there. That's going to be playing on him. Hopefully, we get him sorted, we get him back playing, and we get the best out of Jadon Sancho. There's still a very good player there. And let's not forget as well, you need options. People can look at it and they go, well, I think Garnacho should be starting on the left, and I think that we should have, Anthony on the right, and I think we should have Marcus down the middle or whatever, or Martial down the middle and Marcus on the left and Anthony on the right. Do we even need Jadon Sancho? You need a squad. You need options. You need to be able to rotate. It's very, very rare, especially in the attack, that you don't get injuries, that you don't need to rotate, that you don't get fatigue. We've got a lot of football to play. If we are to get past Barcelona and give it a go in the Europa League, if we are to get through the last stages of domestic trophies, and if we are trying to get to the top 4, which is obviously a bit of a bare minimum, then you could be playing upwards of, 50, 60 games? You need options. You cannot just have 3 attackers. You need at least 4 or 5. I mean, you look at Manchester City last season in particular, and I hate looking at them because I hate them, but they were successful, and they had, the likes of Foden last season, Sterling, Jesus, Mahrez. They had they had I think I'm Grealish. You know what I mean? They had all these options usually for sort of 3 places. Even in the midfield, they had likes of Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. There was sort of 8 or 9 players fighting for those 4 spots, or whatever it is, or 5 spots. And it worked because all those players end up playing 30-odd games. You can rotate. You can keep players fresh. You can keep players happy as well, which can often be an issue. And you can get the most out of them. And that's maybe where Manchester United needs to look at Jadon Sancho and look at the fact that we do need a squad. It's no good just having these players and going, oh, we don't need them anymore. Because then if you get 1 or 2 injuries, you start looking around, you go, oh, actually, we're threadbare. Well, Jadon Sancho isn't a 35-year-old player. He's a young lad. I think he's 22, 23, and he's got a lot to offer. Fat Thor says, Jay, you need 2 players per position to be successful in this era. You're right. I was just watching a video a minute ago on Twitter of Teddy Sheringham making some jokes to someone. Champions League final in 99. Teddy Sheringham was like our 4th choice striker, and he gets the equaliser. Imagine if we'd have said, oh, we don't need him. We've got York and Cole. Let's just get rid. Let's get rid of Ollie. We don't need him as well. You need a squad. I know that's going back 20-odd years, but it's always been the case you've needed a squad. You've needed to rotate. You need players. You need options. All the best teams have that. All the best teams have players they're able to either bring in off the bench or rotate. And also when they get injuries, the best teams are able to cope with those injuries. Now, if you leave yourself short, especially when United have been struggling anyway, to get back into those title challenges that we want to see, then I just think you want to hide into nothing. The Red Devil says, just got to support our player and hopefully a more stable dressing room with everyone pulling in the same direction now can provide some stability. Could not agree more with that. Yeah, 100%. I think we've had such a tumultuous period at Manchester United. There's been rumours of dressing room rifts. There's been rumours of players not getting on with the manager, not even listening to the manager in the case of Ralph Rangnick. Now you've got a manager that people respect, that seems to know what he's doing. You've got a settled squad. Hopefully, Ronaldo moving on can be a positive, because I think a lot of us looked at it and going, do we really need to lose another attacker? But if he is going to go, well, he has gone, then you want that to be a positive move. You want that to not make things worse, but make things better. Whether it will or not remains to be seen, but that's what you hope for. You always hope that Manchester United are on the up. So we'll see what's happening there. Jake Harvey says, Jay, I buy a shirt every season with a player on the back. I'm happy to bring in all these old legends just for my shirt collection there. I think we'll get into the Benzema one in a minute. Next on the agenda, should we talk about some transfer links? We've got this kid who's been touted as the next Paul Pogba. This is in the Mirror, and this says, Manchester United want Benfica starlet Cher Ndua, who is out of contract next year. United are ready to battle with Juve to land the teenager, who is an Italian under-20 international. The Serie A side see the midfielder as an heir to 29-year-old French international Paul Pogba. They hope Brescia-born Ndua will want to join his idol Pogba in Turin at the end of the season. Right, I'm going to put my cards on the table. Don't know a lot about him. I mean, obviously, a young player, talented player, could be available for, for free. That kind of makes sense, especially with the Glazonomics still an issue. We've not sold the club yet. I'm always open. I'm always, happy when we're linked with talented youngsters. How solid that is, we'll have to see. It sounds like we're looking at him, but Juve, you would imagine, if they want him, are in a more beneficial position, being that he's an Italian international, Italian under-18s international, and if he's, if he wants to play alongside Paul Pogba, then that's the place to do it, because obviously Pogba's not at Manchester United anymore. It's one to keep an eye on. Like I say, obviously, there's a reason that United are looking at him, and there's a reason Juve are in for him, but we'll have to sort of keep you posted if there are any developments on that. Should we talk about Karim Benzema? So, this story, I think this has come from, I'm trying to just sort of locate, it's come from the Spanish publication Nacional. Now, it says here that this has been picked up by other papers as well. I was reading it in the Mirror. It says Real Madrid ace offered crazy salary. Man United are set to cure their striker issues by offering a crazy, in inverted commas, salary to Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema in order to convince him to join the club. The 2022 Ballon d'Or winner is one of the most prolific strikers in world football, but his contract is set to expire even at the end of the current campaign. Los Blancos are said to have offered him a one-year extension, but the 34-year-old may have other ideas, and according to Spanish publication Nacional, Benzema has been linked with a free transfer to United at the end of the season, with the Red Devils set to use the millions they saved on Ronaldo's wages as part of a monster salary for the Frenchman himself. Okay. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think about this one, because it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? because there's part of me that when I read this thought, that happening, forget that, nonsense. We're not getting Karim Benzema. But then there's another part of me that goes, I probably said that about Ronaldo. I probably said that about Cavani for different reasons. I probably even said it about Zlatan at one point. We do like to get Asian strikers. Asian strikers, world-class strikers who are probably a bit past the best, do come to Manchester United. Ballon d'Or winning Asian strikers have come to Manchester United. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that if we offered a lot of money to Karim Benzema, he might go, well, I could go and spend a year at Manchester United, pick up a massive pay packet, jobs are good. He's 34. He's still a very good player. He's not having as sort of productive as... Well, no, actually, he is having a good season. He's just not played as many games. I think he's missed a few games for injuries, but he's got 5 La Liga goals, hasn't he, in 7 games. So he's missed a few games, but he's still scoring a lot of goals. Last season was phenomenal. 44 goals in 46 games in all competitions, 27 in La Liga in 32. Listen, you know what you're getting with Karim Benzema. The question isn't his ability, it's his age. And it's, you know, is there concerns there that he's on his way out? And do we need another 35-year-old or another 34-year-old striker? Do we not need to get someone in who's, you know, got 5 or 6 years left in him at least? Glenn F., who made a comment earlier, he said it's a joke we're constantly getting Asian forwards, but in my opinion, it's better than spending 100 million on a younger striker who's not good enough. Let us know what you think. Matri XXX says no, Benzema is too old. Sticky Bud says Motti is a legend. Thank you, brother. Solo says we've been linked with Benzema for so many years now. I agree, we have. We have been linked with him since he was at Lyon. You know, we've been linked with him since then. And I remember it looked like at one point we were going to get him, and I really wanted him because at Lyon he was fantastic. He scored that great goal against us. Do you remember, from the edge of the box over in Lyon? Just a little turn, and it was half a chance really, and he made it work. So yeah. There's a part of me that thinks it's Karim Benzema. If we can get him, get him. But there's part of me that thinks he's just too old and we need to stop this circle of getting these Asian strikers. If push came to shove, I'd say no. Yeah, I think we need to start thinking a bit long term. But don't get it twisted. If we did, I don't think we will, but if we did get Karim Benzema, I'm not going to start complaining. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them, and you can't help but get excited if you get a player of that caliber. Let us know what you think. Ed says, we almost got him at Lyon, but we couldn't pay the fee they wanted. I've heard conflicting reports there, Ed. I know what you mean. I've heard that we couldn't give them the fee. I also heard that he wanted to go to Madrid, and once Madrid came in for him, he was like, I'm done, I'm going to Madrid. There's no sort of two ways about it. I am gutted we didn't get him, because when Ronaldo and Tevez left, getting Benzema in could have set us up for the next 10 years. And we wouldn't have had all these issues that we had. And I think we would have had another couple of titles and maybe another Champions League in there as well. So, yeah, it's a shame. Jake Harvey says there's a lack of real number 9s in the modern game. Every kid wants to be a tricky winger, dynamic forward. It's true that. Joe Smith's mentioned this a few times. How many number 9s are out there? Like, out-and-out 9s. There's not that many, is it? Because most of even the ones we've been linked with, you know, we've been linked with... Cody Gakpo is the obvious one. He's more of an inverted winger, isn't it? Make sure you're hitting that like button as well, please, people. Hit the like button. If you're watching, give us a like. Let's get to 200 likes by the end of the video. Come on, we can do it. Ant L says, he's a brilliant player, but I'm sick to death of signing players sponsored by Stana Stairlifts and Saga Holidays. This ain't effing Dad's Army. Dad's Army, do you remember that? Ozzy Gamola says, disagree. It's time for change. We need to recruit young, upcoming, talented, future-proof players. I love that, future-proof. Yep, I agree with the comments there. I do feel we do need to get younger players. I do feel like with Ten Hag, now is the time for us to start planning forward. And also, let's not forget, Casemiro and Eriksen are 30. Now, I think they've got at least 3 seasons at least in them. But they're not long-term signings, are they? Now, if you're going to throw in a striker as well as another short-term, I just don't want us to be in this position in 3 or 4 years where you're going, right, we need to get 2 more midfielders and another striker. I feel we do need to be a little bit more long-term. So, yep, that's what I would say. Paul Lucas says Mitrovic is only 28. Fat Thor says, Jay, I would rather we get Gakpo as our main striker and maybe Memphis as a squad player on a short-term deal. Memphis Depay has been linked with a move back to Manchester United. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I don't want him back at Manchester United. I think he's a decent player. I don't think he was good enough when he was at United. And I don't think he's improved that much to make him suddenly good enough. But that's just my personal opinion. Just before we wrap up, should we go to another story? This one I've seen doing the rounds. I saw it. I think I saw it in the Manchester Evening News, and it was quoted from a different paper this morning. And this is just about Rodrigo Bentancur. This is the lad at Spurs, obviously. It says this came from Fijalis. And it says that United are interested, and it's got interested in inverted commas, whatever that means, in signing Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur. It's claimed that the Reds are monitoring the Uruguay international after his impressive start to the campaign in North London. Liverpool and Real Madrid have also been credited with interested in the report. It's claimed that Spurs would not allow him to leave for anything less than €60 million. Bit of a weird one, this. Didn't see this one coming. What do you reckon of him? I think he's all right. I don't know if he's... I don't know. The thing is, if he's that good, why would Spurs sell him? I don't think that Spurs... I know we've had players off him in the past, including Sheringham, who I mentioned earlier, but I don't really see Spurs selling us their best midfielders. I don't. I might be wrong, but yeah. It just feels a little bit of a weird one for me. Mark Joy Wiggins says, Spurs rejects. He's a Uruguay international. Uruguay didn't really do that much in the World Cup, did they? He played... He started, I think he played the first 2 games, didn't he, for Uruguay? Played against South Korea and Portugal, and then he was a sub. He came on against Ghana, I think. I think that's right, is it? Am I getting that the wrong way around? Yeah, I'm just trying to work out when it was that he came on against Ghana. I think it was around the sort of... Oh, no, sorry, he got subbed, didn't he, after 34 minutes? That's right. Sorry, I just wanted to check. He got subbed early doors against Ghana. So, yeah, he's a decent player, but it seems a bit of a weird one, that one. I don't know. It seems to come from nowhere. Fijalis might be on it. They might have the exclusive. I'm not so sure. Right, listen. Going to wrap it up there. Vincent says, Shiny Head Man, hello. Thanks for everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Great. Thanks, Johnny, as well. Good to meet you this morning. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone who's commenting and sharing and liking. Don't forget as well, we've got the event coming up on the 30th of December. We're going to be in Dublin. You can see the graphic there. There's a link in the chat. Click on that link if you're interested. The 30th of December, we're in Dublin. Me, Smith, McCullough, Howson, McClare. There you go. Manchester United legend Brian McClare is joining us for a live event. He scored over 100 goals for Manchester United. He scored 117 goals for United, actually. Won loads of trophies and is very, very funny and open. He talks about everything. And we'll have a laugh as well. We'll be able to catch up with each other. We've not seen each other for ages. Steve's been swanning off to Qatar, meeting whoever, Batty Stuter in R9, pathetic. So we'll have a good catch up. So if you can get down there, come and join us. Don't forget as well, we've got the 12 days of Paddock starting soon. Join our membership. You get an option or you get the chance to win prizes, including a £500 bumper prize at the end of that. So get involved in the members section. I've just done a video on there as well, a little extra content on there. But big thanks to everyone who's liked, shared and supported the channel. I've been Jay. This has been The Paper Talk. I'll be back later on this evening with Paddock Live, later on this evening. And before that, I think you've got McCullough and Uncensored. So make sure you are liking, sharing and subscribing. Thanks for watching.